You're about to tap into the digital marketing strategies that separate thriving law firms from the ones struggling to keep up. Join James Campbell as we break down the roadblocks holding your practice back and reveal the insider tactics attorneys are using to scale past 7 figures. From cutting-edge digital marketing tips to exclusive interviews with industry leaders, we're giving you the playbook to attract higher-quality clients, dominate your market, and build a firm that runs like a growth machine. Your next breakthrough starts now. This is the Marketing Lawcast.
Welcome to the Marketing Lawcast, a place where great law firms learn how to grow faster and grow better, especially those estate planning firms. Today, I'm excited to introduce someone who not only knows the ins and outs of legal marketing, but has spent the past 5 years transforming how law firms approach growth and strategy. Amber Kelly is our powerhouse account executive here at IMS. As a senior executive on the leadership team, Amber oversees our entire coaching staff and plays a pivotal role in the client experience. She's the guiding force behind our monthly strategy sessions, the architect of our custom marketing plans, and the strategic voice who helps ensure every IMS client sees measurable results month after month. Amber doesn't just understand marketing, she understands law firms, and specifically estate planning and elder law firms. She knows the challenges of balancing client service with business development, and she's made it her mission to ensure that clients don't just show up online, but that they stand out. In today's episode, Amber's going to take us kind of behind the scenes of the Essentials marketing program, how it works, how it's tailored for each firm, and how her team uses data and coaching to drive real, sustainable estate planning and elder law business all across the country. So if you're looking for clarity, momentum, and a little inspiration, this is the episode for you. Let's dive in. Amber, welcome to the Marketing Lawcast. Thank you for spending time with us this morning and helping our viewers, our listeners, better their practice and gain some insight into how IMS can help them on their journey to success.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, absolutely. So Amber, for those who may not be familiar, can you just sort of describe your role at IMS, kind of how it connects to the Essentials program, which is sort of our flagship program?
Sure, absolutely. So my role is really twofold. So in the beginning, when we have a new client come on, I'm really the project manager. So I'm working directly with the clients and then our internal team, our tech team and our design team to make sure that we're building out a new website, a new webinar, whatever it is that they've signed up for that aligns with their practice areas, and who they are as a firm. So I'm the one going through, making sure all the boxes are checked off, everything gets done. Now, once they go live with a website or a webinar, I kind of transition into more of a client coach. So working on a monthly basis to keep an eye on those numbers, looking at their analytics, their search console, their SEO, and paid ads if they're running those with us as well. Working one-on-one with the firms to kind of figure out what their goals are and making sure that their digital marketing kind of aligns with those goals. So at the end of the day, we want to make sure whatever the firm's goals are, whether it's growing leads, maybe it's just putting out a more professional look online, that we're helping them hit those.
Yeah, I love it. And, we work exclusively with estate planning and elder law firms and have for the past 30 years. You've been with us for a little over 5 years now. Why do you think estate planning and elder law firms benefit so uniquely from a program like this specifically?
So I think specifically why our clients benefit is we really understand the challenges that they have, not only with being an estate planning attorney, but also being an attorney and trying to be found online. So our clients are really challenged with the fact that 9 times out of 10, they have to convince a new prospect that they even need estate planning services. And then they need to convince them again that they're the right person to do that for them. So it's almost like a 2-sale process.
Yeah, it really is. It's about building trust and authority. But then you also have to be able to address those client needs and compete against the other firms that are out there. Amber, walk us through the onboarding process. I think a lot of times when clients are considering hiring an agency or specifically joining IMS, one of the questions that they ask is, what's going to be required of me? So can you explain the onboarding process a little bit, maybe how IMS's marketing strategy is tailored for each client from day one?
Absolutely. So every client kicks off with an orientation call with their client coach. And during that call is when the client coach is really getting a better understanding of what their goals are here at IMS, getting a better understanding of who they are, who their firm is, and just kind of really setting that tone for what they're trying to accomplish here with us. Then the next part of that is just a couple meetings. So we really take all of the heavy lifting off of our clients. We know that at the end of the day, they need to be attorneys. They need to run a business. So we ask them for a couple assets that we need, things like bios or images, things like that. But beyond that, our team's taking care of everything. So we're doing everything on the websites. We're doing everything to set up their analytics so that they don't have to worry about those marketing items.
Yeah, I think that's a big plus, is that we really understand that the marketing can't derail the practice. The practice has to keep running. And so your job is to keep the team doing the things and understanding the ins and outs sort of the estate planning practice to make sure that onboarding is not a big hindrance to their growth or to their flow of their practice. Amber, what kind of insights do you and your coaching team look for during the onboarding process to craft content and strategies that really resonate with the firm's ideal client? How do you dial that in?
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of start with who the client avatar is. What are the types of people they want to work with? What are the practice areas that they're looking to build the most? And kind of using that, we then look at the data. So where are they ranking currently if they have a website? Kind of looking at their terms that they're ranking for. We get an understanding of what their service area is. So, based on where the office is and where they serve clients around that office, pulling those keywords onto the website. So everything is completely targeted and built around what their goals are, where they're located, and who that ideal customer is. And we bring that information into everything from a technical aspect on the website to all of the content that we're creating as well.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And, the fact that we have over 30 years of data working with estate planning attorneys and knowing what the trends are and what really motivates their clients to hire them. I think that's one of the great things that you bring to the table when attorneys do outline who that avatar is. We understand how to attract that person. So very good. In one of your presentations, Amber, I think you did it last month, you emphasized knowing your numbers. Can you share how data has become a strategic asset for clients?
Absolutely. So I think when people hear marketing, they immediately think of commercials or images or content, but they forget that behind all of this is data. So here at IMS, we're looking at Google Analytics on a monthly basis for our clients, trying to understand how many people are visiting the website, what pages they're going to, just getting an understanding of how people, kind of interact with their website. We're looking at their Google Search Console. So we want to understand what terms Google is presenting their website for when people are searching. We're looking at their Google business profile to understand, how is that optimized? How many reviews are they getting? If they're doing paid ads, we're looking at their paid ads numbers monthly. And the idea behind all of this is one single report doesn't tell a story. But when you have access to all of these different reports, this is where you can start see some trends. You can better understand the types of people that are coming to the website, why they're coming. You can understand why there's dips and peaks in the numbers over time. And it helps the client kind of better anticipate what's going to happen next month, what's going to happen next quarter.
Yeah, I love that. Projections. As we look at goal setting, as Amber, you're more on the performance side and helping make sure that the marketing is bringing in the right clients, that we're getting hitting our numbers in terms of the number of leads that we get. And my side has always been the sales side, right? And so I'm looking at that as projections, as how do we plan our goal for 2026 or 2027, right? Well, we're going to have projections, and the data is what gives us those projections for sales to let us know if we're hitting our benchmarks and what sort of dials need to be turned to bring that to fruition. And sort of on that same vein, Amber, how do tools like you mentioned the data studio, the dashboard, the monthly reports, how does that help the attorney determine their budget and their marketing strategy for the coming months? To help us understand how those conversations go a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm working with a client in California, and she has some very specific goals when it comes to revenue revenue growth for 2025. And so what we were able to do is kind of take a look at what she is spending in paid ads, how her website is performing to get a baseline, right? Like X equals this many leads each month. Mm-hmm. Now, if she wants to grow and she wants to increase her revenue, we do this from a very scientific place. We say if X gets us here, then as we're increasing budget, we're going to see more leads. And what we do is kind of find that sweet spot between her budget and her goals to make sure that she's going to reach those revenue numbers that she has in store for 2025. And that's why those monthly meetings and the data is so important, because it's not like a feel good. It's not like I think things are doing better. It is black and white numbers that is showing us this is exactly what's happening. These are the exact number of leads that are coming in, and this is exactly where you're converting. So there's no mystery when it comes to revenue, or are you on pace to hit your targets?
Yeah, it's so important that as an attorney, as you're looking at your practice and you're hearing about people are tracking their numbers and they're dialing in their budget, these are what the successful firms are doing. The committed firms are taking these things serious. They're having that executive meeting and they're leveraging Amber's experience and expertise in dialing those things in. So it's not all on the attorney's shoulders to have to understand, first of all, what the numbers mean, and then what to do about those numbers once you understand them. So it's the art and science side, right, Amber, to where we're looking at the data, and that's the science side. And it is down to a science where we're looking at the X's and O's and the ones and the zeros and mapping out things. But then there's the creative side of understanding what are the messages that are attracting and how are those performing? What are the numbers on the things that are actually attracting the right clients? So that's a great point. One of the standout features, just to kind of transition here, one of the standout features of our Essentials program is that monthly meeting that happens with the coach. What typically happens in those monthly meetings? So as people are sort of preparing to engage and they're thinking about, well, I'll have this monthly meeting with my coach, what's that going to be all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a little bit different for every firm. Some firms have a list of questions that they have prepared throughout the month. Maybe it's like questions around they want to do a seminar, they want to, look at some online advertising. So they come to us with some questions. Other times it is just the client coach giving the client an update on where their numbers look like and just having that open, honest conversation of how are those leads coming through? Are you converting them? Because we can see everything from a marketing side. So I can see how many leads came into the firm, but I can't always see how the conversions went. I don't always hear those calls and, are they ready to buy? Do they need like a little more encouragement? So kind of approaching it from this group standpoint, like where we meet and talk about the numbers and then talk about what's actually happening within the firm helps us really kind of dial in the marketing, the messaging, making sure that, we're providing leads that are going to convert for the firm.
Yeah, I think it also adds to the accountability for both parties. Like there's certain things that your firm is going to need to be able to do, which is one, talk appropriately to the leads that are generated and close those folks and get the business in the door. So that's the accountability on your side. On our side, it's to produce the leads for you. And so when we have that monthly meeting, we sort of have that accountability meeting as well, to where there's open communication. And now we have a game plan of how to either fix an issue or continue to surpass those goals.
Absolutely. It's funny. Our clients post more blog posts on the day of their monthly meeting because they know they're about to meet with their coach, or they send out that, that link to get some more positive reviews for the firm. Always happens on the day of our meeting.
Yeah. For some reason, they want to make sure they have that done before they meet with their coach. Right.
Right.
And that's a great thing because that helps the practice move forward and it starts creating better habits that produce growth. Mm-hmm. Amber, we often talk about avoiding putting all of your eggs in one basket sort of approach. How do we help clients understand the value of integrating their marketing versus like relying on a single tactic like Facebook ads or email or their live seminar and sort of having one thing be or referrals that drives their business?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was working with a client the other day and he has over 200 Google reviews. And for him, he's an established law firm. He's, the biggest one in his market. He has all these great reviews. And that's what he was really kind of putting all his eggs in. The people would find him online and they would see all these positive things that people have said. Well, that worked great up until he changed office locations and Google unverified his Google business profile. So nobody had access to any of these reviews. And that was what he was kind of banking everything on. And just like that, they were gone. And he was at the mercy of Google until he was able to get the profile re-verified. He lost his SEO ranking. He lost his ability to be found on search, and numbers just plummeted. Now, if he had a more integrated approach where he had other SEO things happening on the website, if he was blogging, email marketing, doing some paid ads, then just because one of those elements had, wasn't working for him anymore, he still had other things to push leads into the firm. But when all your eggs are in one basket, like a Facebook ad, and Facebook, takes your ad down, you kind of lose. Like, what are you going to do? And then you're in a panic mode, and it's very hard to create leads and to kind of think thoughtfully about what to do next when you're panicking because the phone's not ringing.
Yeah, when we meet with clients each month, we love it when we see that the Facebook ad or their webinar is just absolutely killing it, or that they're dominating on Google search and driving all of these leads. We celebrate that, and we're happy for them because that adds a tremendous boost to their revenue. But we can't be satisfied and just lean on that one source. We have to recognize that really at any moment, without any influence from us or by the client, that could all go away. And so this is up to Google and Facebook and what they do and their algorithm and all that stuff. So diversifying your portfolio, so to speak, on where your lead flow comes from and not putting all of your eggs in one basket is very important. And one of the benefits of having a coach like Amber talk to you about those things and be sure that we're spreading the feelers and we are diversifying where those leads come from. That's a great point, Amber. We often talk about examples. I'll edit that out. I read the question again. Okay, I'll edit that. Can you share an example, Amber, of where like a multi-channel approach delivered outstanding results to where they were getting things? I can think of a few in my head, but anybody that comes to mind where you've seen that multi-channel approach really do exceedingly well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a client in Pennsylvania, and when they came to us, they had a very old website. It needed to be updated, and we started there. So we built the client their new website. We helped them understand why the Google business profile was important, why getting reviews online was important. And right just from the website, that helped kind of boost their lead numbers. Mm-hmm. The client was doing well, and they decided to add on a webinar campaign. So an evergreen campaign that was running with some Facebook ads to continue to build their business. So we did that, and that campaign became very successful. They added a local service ad through Google. And now when you look up, I think it's over 25 estate planning keywords, they appear more than 3 times on page 1. They have their local service ad, they're right there in the local pack, and then they're also in just the organic desktop search. So I believe their average ranking is number 2 across all keywords that we're tracking for estate planning. And they're at the point now where they're getting ready to buy another law firm. It's been so successful. Now, if the Facebook ad goes down, it's not a big deal because those phones are still going to ring from the other sources of leads that we're pulling from.
Yeah, and one thing I think is super important to outline is that we hear these type of success stories where firms say, well, my firm has doubled in size, not just in revenue, but I've hired more staff, or I'm opening up a second location. And these things were not possible for those firms before hiring us. There's a number of reasons why. 1, they didn't have the consistency of lead flow. And 2, they're typically spending a lot of money unnecessarily on unoptimized advertising or marketing. So their cost per lead is exceedingly high before hiring us. And then when they get with us, we build up that authority, and a couple of things happen. 1, they get higher quality leads at a higher frequency. But then the other side of that is that they're opening up these new channels, right? So that the revenue can be coming in all the time. And so those are the things that we're looking for, is how do we continue to grow but lower the cost? And when we have lowered cost and higher revenue, there's a lot more things we can do with the firm, like hire more people or open up a second location, whatever the case may be. So that's a great point, Amber. When you talk with clients, how do you sort of define success? Like I know you've worked closely with Sean McCannon and Philip Bruce, who we highlight on our case studies page. What made their transformations, those guys specifically, so successful, you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So for Sean, his plan was just to grow the firm, and he didn't really have any kind of like number in mind. So what we did was we just kind of added tactics over time. So starting with the website, then starting with some done for you services when he didn't have as much time to do the marketing, adding in a Facebook ad, adding in a Google ad. And I think in the beginning when he came to us, like he had a pretty successful firm, but he didn't even realize how much it could grow and how much more he could attain with just a little bit more marketing. And so I know actually that over time his goals have changed. So he didn't want to grow and hire on more attorneys, but he wanted to put some processes in place that he could add a paralegal, but increase revenue by 20%. And he's done that.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that a lot of these guys are leveraging, again, multi-channel. So where they're not just relying on their website and SEO, but they delve into video, getting themselves on camera and in front of more people. They leverage social media and then YouTube, and then they advertise. But they don't do all of that stuff at once necessarily. They stack, correct? Like that's typically how people go. They start here, they grow to a certain level, and then they stack on top of that and then grow, and then stack and grow. And meeting with the client coach is part of that is understanding what are those benchmarks where now you are ready to stack, right? That we don't get complacent.
Exactly. And I think sometimes they don't even have those goals in mind when they first start with us. They don't even realize it's possible.
Right, exactly. I think that's a very good point. A lot of times we talk with these attorneys and we ask them what their goals are, and they want to grow. They'll throw out a number by 5%, or they'll throw out something crazy like they want to triple their revenue, right? And there's not a real thought process into how do we get there? What's the capacity look like? What's the strategy to bring in the appropriate number of people? But you can't bring in the wrong people, because if you waste a bunch of time with the wrong people, you're never going to meet your goals. So there has to be a strategy alongside that goal setting. And so we want to make it attainable, but we also want to have that stretch. Many clients, Amber, come to us and they tell their coach that they feel like they're a real partner. How do you and the coaching team support clients, not just interpreting their data, but actually taking action on it? Like, what are some of the actionable things that happen? Because what I love about the program, and I think this is true, and I hope you can expand upon this, but I want the attorney to bring their ideas and their opportunities to that client meeting, to that coaching meeting. How do you and the coaches help bring those ideas to fruition?
Yeah, absolutely. So our clients always have tons of great ideas, but they're just not really quite sure what to do with them to make them successful. So I have a client in Illinois, and we were during one of our coaching meetings, he said he saw a real opportunity with working with local school districts to put together these seminars talking about planning for before your kids go to college. And I thought it was a great idea. It was a way for him to kind of boost some lead numbers in summer when it's typically a slower time period for him. But he wasn't quite sure, like he had this idea. Now, how do we make it like work? So we talked about ways to kind of like advertise these seminars through email marketing. We talked about doing some social media posts. He actually connected with some local groups on Facebook to let them know that he was doing it, connected with some local groups on LinkedIn. So I'm just here to kind of help them see that idea through to make sure that it's successful and they're not just spinning their wheels and maybe thinking of things that they wouldn't normally think of.
Yeah, I think a lot of times with our team understanding the full realm of what the digital marketing is capable of, a lot of times we need the asset or the idea from the attorney to then leverage that technology and maybe dispense that information or to market it appropriately. And so when we have those opportunities, not only can we make their sort of dreams a reality, but we can do the extra stuff that they didn't know was even possible, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be developing
Absolutely.
campaigns or automations or putting things in place to help them get the absolute most. I always talk about wringing the value out of that campaign, whatever, as much as we possibly can, each and every time. Amber, what's one thing you wish more firms understood about the long-term benefits of having a coach who understands both the legal side of things and the marketing strategy?
I think that I would like them to understand how valuable it is and how much time it will save them. So some of my clients are very busy. It's hard for them to even carve a half hour a month. But in that 30 minutes, we cover so much to make sure that their online digital presence is the best that it can be. We are able to talk about goals. And, a lot of times the attorneys are so focused on, clients, leads, documents that they're not thinking 6 months ahead, a year ahead. They're not thinking to their next time period where leads tend to come down a little bit. So by working with your coach, it keeps you consistent and keeps you on track. And it also keeps your marketing top of mind, because when somebody gets busy, that's the first thing to go, right? Because it doesn't feel like it needs to be done. There's no one standing there holding you accountable like a client would be waiting on their documents. So we make sure that it stays front and center so that our clients continue to be successful, not just in those busy time periods, but planning ahead to those time periods that may not be so busy.
Yeah, that's super smart. And I love that response. Amber, as things change, as AI comes into fruition and everything's sort of blowing up and becoming more prevalent as it comes to technology, what should estate planning attorneys and elder law attorneys start doing now to stay ahead of the curve? What's the best strategy to take?
Absolutely. So I think that to stay ahead of the curve, you have to embrace the new technology. And it doesn't mean throw everything to AI, but start looking at how that can help you, get things done a little quicker. Write an email, give you an outline for a seminar presentation. I've seen AI come up with some great things. I've seen it come up with some not great things, but it's such a great place for ideas to start. And those attorneys and those firms that are embracing new processes, embracing new softwares, those are the ones that are going to be successful in the next 5 and 10 years. And if you keep kind of doing it the old way, that old way is going to become antiquated and it's not going to work after a while.
Yeah, and I think one of the key benefits of hiring a firm like IMS, or specifically hiring IMS, is that we are keeping track. We have to. We work extraordinarily hard on looking at what that new technology is. How can we leverage these individual tools for the benefit of our client, sort of help the client do what we talked about earlier. They need to continue to practice law, meet with their clients, do a great job running their business. And if they're dedicating too much time to all of this technology stuff and learning about marketing, then they're not focusing their time on that. So that's where an agency like us comes in, and we dive all of our time into what these different AI tools might be that we can help leverage on your behalf, integrate into your system to help you gain some efficiencies and stay cutting edge. To where you're not out there having to figure all this stuff out on your own. We're going to try to bring you the best result possible, leveraging the best technology that is tested and proven and true, so you're not wasting money either. So I think that's very important. For firms, Amber, that are still hesitant about making a shift from maybe their traditional marketing strategies, what would you say to them about the difference that the Essentials program can make in their practice?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that I've seen a lot of clients come to us, and they were trying to do it themselves before. And maybe they had their own website, maybe they were practicing around with some Facebook ads. And one, it's extremely time consuming to maintain all of that yourself. Number two, I think that where IMS is so successful for our clients is because I'm seeing data and, ads and ad copy across 50 plus clients. So I'm able to kind of take like what's working in different markets and apply that to my clients. So that learning phase is cut down a lot. Whereas if you're on your own, kind of building a website or doing some, your own advertising, it's a lot harder to kind of, you're reinventing the wheel every time you do something. Whereas we're so ingrained with it across the country, different markets, like big cities down to, tiny little quiet towns, like we can see what works and then we can use that to apply to our clients that are in similar situations.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is that having that niche experience and having that niche experience across markets and across the country. So when we're pulling data and we're looking at a keyword report, for example, that's one thing I heard you mention earlier. We look at the keywords. Well, my friends, if you're listening to this, other agencies are I've seen the reports that competitors, like prospects, will come in and say, here's my keyword list. And I'll look at the report of the words that their agency is tracking for them. And it's not even close to the same words that we're tracking. It's not even close. We're tracking the words that we know people search on. They're tracking the words that they think might work. Make sense? And that is a huge, huge difference. So the understanding of your practice areas and what your challenges are and where the growth really resides, that's the strategies that Amber is going to bring to those meetings, that our coaches are going to bring to those meetings, pulling from the data of over 30 years working with estate planning and elder law attorneys. Amber, thank you so much. Any closing thoughts for the attorneys out there who might be considering IMS?
Yeah. I think if you're considering it, dig a little deeper. If you're talking to other agencies, get a feel for what they're going to provide you. An agency is good if they're going to share numbers with you, if they're going to be transparent about what they're getting done for you, and they're ready to talk about it on a monthly basis. I've worked with some clients who've worked with other agencies that they didn't even have access to the numbers. And whenever they asked how things were going, they're like, great, do better for yourself. Make sure that you're building a practice and building a marketing strategy off real data.
Yeah. So if you're an attorney looking to grow your practice with the kind of clarity and confidence that we've been talking about, I'd encourage you to book a discovery call with my team. And through that vetting process, you vetting us vetting you, maybe you get the chance to work with Amber and experience the kind of success and results that her clients have achieved, our clients are achieving consistently across the board. So we appreciate you tuning in to the Marketing Lawcast this week. Tune in next time for more great insights and tips on how to grow your estate planning or elder law practice. We'll see you there.
That's a wrap on this edition of the Marketing Lawcast. Thanks for joining us. Head over to imsrocks.com. If you're ready to skyrocket your firm's marketing, don't hesitate to book a free strategy call with our team right on our website. Here's to your success.